One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, June 5th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sun and clouds today. It's going to be really warm. The high 90. Saturday, partly cloudy, warm again, high 92. And then Sunday, sunshine, high 86. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 61 clear in New Rochelle up in Westchester. It's 60 and clear in Dover over in New Jersey. And it's 62 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
New York gets pumped for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Another Gotti finds himself in trouble. There's been another one of those wild Pokemon smash and grabs. A Hudson Valley guidance counselor may have been up to no good. And wait, who was in Times Square last night? All right, let's get into it at 5:03. It's all about the Knicks. The city's just gone crazy for the Knickerbockers. Game 2 in San Antonio tonight. The fever fell just about everywhere, especially after Game 1, where the Knicks had that come-from-behind win, down something 14 points in the third quarter, secured that victory on the road. So now we want another one. Game 2, take it away in San Antonio.
It feels great. Like, we at another level right now. 3 wins away from the finals, from a championship. I mean, this is one of the greatest feelings you could ever ask for as a sports fan, like, especially as a New York Knicks fan. Like, gosh.
We have the juggernaut. We have Agent Brunson, Captain Clutch.
Yeah.
And now it's like, if we was to win, it's a rivalry there.
Yeah, so crowds were mostly peaceful on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. I can tell you there was so many people on the streets when there normally isn't when I'm driving in. And police did put out a report late yesterday that they did make a number of arrests, and that was just after Game 1. Can only imagine if we win this whole thing. It was people who were climbing the poles and jumping on vehicles. You may have seen some of that video. But they say, fans, it's just hard not to celebrate each win because it's been so long, 53 years since the last Knicks championship.
There's nothing like the out-of-this-world feeling of being in New York City. There's nothing like how we put things together. There's nothing like seeing the Knicks win. It's good for NBA. It's good for the city. It's good for the world.
We are up Game 1. We have 3 more to go. Don't get complacent.
We don't have to say much. They're already focused. They're locked in. Everyone, Jalen, Josh, everyone, Mikhail, everyone's locked in. Everyone's ready to go. We got to bring a championship to the city.
Nick Carl Anthony Towns, he says he and his teammates, they're just taking this thing like somebody who's in AA. One game, one day at a time.
There's a lot more basketball to be played. Every game has to be approached like it's 0-0. You got to come out with that same energy, intensity, and desperation like it's Game 1.
And the NBA says it's going to take action against that fan who ran onto the court during Wednesday night's game. He was trying to get a picture with Victor Wembanyama, who was asked about it yesterday.
I've never been in that situation. I didn't know how to act.
Yeah, the NBA said in a statement that fan arrested, banned for life from all NBA arenas. He was apparently promoting a cryptocurrency and did the same thing last month at a PGA Tour event outside of Dallas. Wembanyama says, okay, it's all a little wacky.
It really surprised me almost as much as that time where a bat crashed the court.
Yeah, so the NBA is also investigating 2 fans who allegedly made profane comments toward Nick Jalen Brunson during Game 1. You may have seen this at the end of Game 1 where Brunson was held back by some of his players. He was talking to a ref post-game. Apparently these guys, maybe a man and a woman, it's not 100% clear, made these incredibly crude comments to Brunson towards the end of the game, and he said to the ref he wanted something to be done about it. The NBA says they're absolutely investigating that as we speak. And then in San Antonio, they are relying on a dog named Lilo, who I guess has taken them all the way to the championship. This corgi has become a social media sensation in San Antonio, making sports predictions. And the dog has been right all along this season. And they brought the dog to a pep rally. They've brought this dog everywhere. It was at game 1. And the dog did predict that San Antonio is going to win the NBA Finals.
A very special guest landed here in San Antonio. It's
They're just as nuts in San Antonio. So this pup can be seen on a staircase bouncing balls into bins. And he's gone 7 for 7 in corrections and predictions so far this season in the postseason. And it's a she, actually. And she, in this way they bounce the ball, she moves the balls. She has picked the Spurs to take home the title. Of course, it's just a stupid corgi. But game 2 is in San Antonio. That's set for 8:30 tonight. Boy, I just can't wait. WABC News Time 5:09. The World Cup is really almost here next week. Next week, those gridlock alert days begin, declared for all 8 coming World Cup matches playing out in the Meadowlands. New York City releasing its transportation plan yesterday. Here's Governor Hochul, who says the Big Apple is ready.
We can handle this. We've got this. This is what we do best.
So you can get to MetLife Stadium by grabbing a bus at Grand Central Terminal, the Port Authority, or Columbus Circle, or you can take New Jersey Transit from Penn Station if train service goes down. The city has a contingency plan with buses on standby.
New Yorkers should plan for increased congestion and traffic delays, especially in Manhattan.
All right, so that's Mayor Mamdani. Now I'm going to ask Joe about this later, but this is the one thing I don't get is there's events every week at MetLife Stadium where you have 70,000 fans. Why is this causing such a big problem? I know some of it's security, but there seems to be a much bigger deal around this. And the issue, of course, that's been so confusing for fans who are coming in for the matches is, do I take a train or bus? Is it going to be $100, $50? I mean, they haven't really done a very good job with that. But either way, certain streets are going to be shut down next week, beginning next week for the match days. 5th and 6th Avenues will be shut down between 59th and 42nd Street, 6 hours before the matches, 3 hours after. Of course, as those games get closer, we'll give you all the details on that. And the USA, Team USA, they are prepping for the World Cup. And fans say this is one of the best USA teams they've seen in a while. Correspondent Stephanie Gosk is at their training center in Georgia.
There hasn't been a World Cup in North America in more than 30 years. And now this World Cup is twice the size. 48 countries will be playing in the tournament, 104 games. There are 11 cities where stadiums are being used in the U.S., 3 in Mexico and 2 in Canada. And the final is going to be played at MetLife Stadium. They talk about how their entire careers they've dreamed of playing in the World Cup. But the opportunity to actually play in the U.S. in the World Cup is something they never could have even imagined.
Yeah, so it is a huge deal. Now, I haven't seen anybody who expects the team to go incredibly far in the World Cup because they just say the Americans still just not good enough.
This is a brand new $250 million facility. And as soon as the roster was named for the World Cup, the team immediately flew here to start training.
She's talking about the facility down in Georgia. The Tim Ream, he's the captain of the U.S. men's national team. Of course, he's talking about the fact that this is an incredibly special moment for everybody on that team.
The biggest single sporting event in the sports, which is crazy to think about, and we get to host it and we get to play in it.
Yeah, so I've got one kid who's really into soccer, so he's gotten me excited about this. Normally I could care less, but I will be watching. 5:12. Let's go down to Washington. President Trump says the U.S. will win the Iran war one way or another.
We're going to win on paper, or we're going to win military. One way or the other. It's going to be militarily or on paper.
Yesterday, the president shrugging off questions about the war dragging down Republicans' chances in the midterm elections, again saying that other U.S. wars have lasted a lot longer than this one.
But when you look at hundreds of thousands of soldiers were killed in these various wars, they lasted many, many years. We're in there for a few months, and what we've done is amazing.
And the president says he'd be honored to meet the supreme leader of Iran if they were to make a deal. He made that comment yesterday while fielding those questions at the White House. He continued to also, he says, tout good things that are going on while the war continues, including a record stock market. His comments come among conflicting reports about the progress of these U.S.-Iran peace talks. And there was a short-term ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. So Iran has been pointing to what's going on in Lebanon as a reason they will not continue with these peace talks. They say Israel has to stop fighting in Lebanon. And so for a few hours they did, but there was more deadly strikes yesterday. Both sides with Hezbollah firing rockets into Israel yesterday, Israel firing rockets into Lebanon. And of course, all this has effect back on the economy here in the U.S. And there are warnings that gas prices could go higher the longer this conflict continues. And you have this guy, Gas Buddy. Have you followed? Gas Buddy is one of these organizations that follows the prices of gases and gas, rather. And the director of that, Patrick DeHaan, he's down in Florida talking about gas prices there, and gas prices across the country could go up.
Certainly was nice to see some of the 350s, 60s, and 70s across Florida, but those are now being replaced by $3.99. So that has to do with the jump we saw in oil after a deal with Iran did not pan out.
Yeah, so maybe you've seen this. Gas prices have gone down just a little bit, maybe at your local gas station, but he says that's not going to last very long. That price is going to go back up.
You know, with demand up and with more exports away from the United States, that's putting upward pressure on our prices, and that's pretty notable to see the largest year-to-date decrease in gasoline supplies. The longer this goes, the more potential there is for record-setting prices here in the weeks ahead. July 4 is going to be really ugly because the peak of consumption is in July. So that really is going to put a lot more pressure on prices.
Yeah, so you're going to see those prices inch a little bit higher in the coming weeks. In a moment, we'll go from Iran to Ukraine and the latest on that conflict. We'll do that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Friday. Good morning, Justin Ellick.
Happy Friday. Good morning to you, Noam Oladen. Of course, looking ahead to tonight at 8:30 p.m. Our Knicks out in San Antonio again. Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Of course, they're up 1-0 after that, a big opening game win. And they head into Game 2 as 6.5-point road underdogs. In the Bronx, Ryan McMahon hit a go-ahead single in the 7th inning. Carlos Rodon combined with 3 relievers on a 2-hitter, and the Yankees beat the Guardians 2-1 to salvage the finale of a 3-game series that star Aaron Judge missed. He missed the game due to a bruised rib on his right side that was causing shoulder pain. And then later yesterday, the Yankees said Judge will be sidelined indefinitely with a stress fracture, of his ribs. The team said the 3-time AL MVP was diagnosed with the stress fracture of the first rib on his right side and will need to rest and have limited activity. Will be reevaluated after having additional imaging in about 4 to 6 weeks. The Yankees said in a statement that Judge is expected to return. Ready? Get hopeful here. Quote, at some point this season. All right, how about that? Rodon allowed 1 run and 2 hits in 6 innings and 7 strikeouts with 3 walks. Up next for the Yankees, the lefty Ryan Weathers will get the start in tonight's series opener of a 3-game series against the visiting Boston Red Sox. First pitch from Yankee Stadium scheduled for 7:05. Mets back at it tonight in San Diego after an off day yesterday. They'll open a weekend set against the Padres. Christian Scott will get the start in the opener there. And in the Stanley Cup Finals last night, Hurricanes edging out the Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime out in Carolina. That series now knotted at a game apiece. That is your Sports Noah, man. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
Thank you very much, Justin. 5:17, traffic transit on the 7s. Joe, I don't know if I assume you saw this yesterday, that Rocky Allen passed away.
Yeah, that's a shame. He was a good guy. I worked with him for a very short period of time, but he was a really, really good guy. He came to PLJ, and I was already there, and I was on with him, and then Scott came, and then I worked with Scott for 27 years.
Yeah, you were like in a big part of that show, this Scott and Todd. What was it? I can't remember. What was it before Scott and Todd, or was it always Scott and Todd?
Well, Jim Kerr was there.
Right.
Jim Kerr.
Yeah, right.
And then Jim Kerr, they brought a guy named Gary Bryan, and Gary Bryan was on for a little while. Then they got rid of Gary Bryan and brought in Rocky. And then the Rocky Allen Showgram was on for a couple of years. And then they had the opportunity to get Scott. They brought Scott Shannon in, and the rest was history, sort of. Then he brought in Todd, and it was Scott and Todd in the morning for like 25 years.
Wow. And Rocky was, he wasn't old, 71 years old.
No, he did when Scott came, they moved him to the afternoons, and then, it was Scott in the morning, and then Rocky in the afternoon, and PLJ did great for a long time, and it's a shame. He's a really, really, really nice guy. I liked him a lot, and he was great for the radio station back then, too.
I was telling my kids about the Scott and Todd. They used to do these things called the phone taps.
Phone scams.
So they did one before I got into radio. I was phone tapped.
Really?
Yes. And maybe you can figure out where I can even get this. But I was working my first job out of college. I worked answering phones at a temp agency in Midtown. This was in the 90s. And I don't remember if it was Scott or Todd. I guess it was Todd.
Todd did all those.
He called as this like fake employee, and basically by the end of the phone call,
I kind of remember that.
He had told me that he had murdered his former boss.
I remember that.
And could he come in for an interview?
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
And so I've never heard it except the one time that it aired, but I don't. Do they have those anywhere?
There are albums out there.
Oh, there are. Okay.
There are CDs if you figure out what year it was, and then you got to go back and look. They're on it. They're on. Some of them are on eBay, and they're around. I've got a bunch of them too.
Oh, I have to check and see.
Yeah, but yeah, there are some CDs. I don't know how you'd find that. PLJ being what it is now. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. But in any event, from the Apple Bank Traffic Desk, good morning, everybody, and God bless Rocky. Good guy.
WABC News Time 520. The House approving a new military aid package for Ukraine in defiance of President Trump's foreign policy. 18 Republicans joined with Democrats yesterday in passing this measure.
The ayes are 226. The nays are 195. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
The bill would give $1.3 billion in assistance for Ukraine, now fighting for a Russian invasion, the Russian invasion for more than 4 years now. Would also expand sanctions against Moscow. President Trump's plan to speed up deportation proceedings is coming to Texas now. There will be mass hearings starting next week with dozens of illegal immigrants appearing in courtrooms at any given time as they try to kick them back to their home countries.
Everything's on a rocket docket now. Everything's trying to be sped up as quickly as it possibly can.
That's a San Antonio immigration lawyer who says it's difficult these days to get a good idea of the backlog in the system, but he says this will help eliminate it, these mass hearings.
A real challenge to make sure that they still make the right decisions. This is going to affect the backlog and is aimed at eliminating it.
Yeah, in addition to the mass hearings, those without attorneys will now be required to appear in person as opposed to virtually. 522, President Trump says the man he wants to be the next director of the National Intelligence Agency will be temporary. White House correspondent John Decker asked Trump about his choice of Bill Pulte as acting DNI at the White House yesterday. It was the first time that the president said Pulte was only going to be short term while they look for somebody else.
In fact, the president said that he's in the process right now of interviewing candidates who would be the permanent DNI.
So President Trump has faced some pushback from some Democrats, some Republicans too, after indicating that he wanted to name Bill Pulte as acting DNI. Pulte currently serves as the Federal Housing Finance Agency Director and was set to take over for Tulsi Gabbard. So he will, but we just don't know for how long.
He said that Pulte only wanted to take on the position on a temporary basis.
All right, 523. Let's head out to California, where election officials there say about 700,000 ballots have yet to be counted from Tuesday's primaries. So these numbers could change a little bit.
You will likely hear from voices, some big voices, some loud voices, that it's crazy, that maybe it's even stupid that it takes this long for votes to be counted in California. It's not stupid. It's not crazy. It's actually the law in California.
That's L.A. County Registrar Dean Logan. Officials say it's taking so long because by law, voters get a mail-in ballot that doesn't have to be postmarked until the final voting day, and that gets signature verified. So they're still awaiting the final results in the LA mayor's race with Karen Bass, Spencer Pratt, the top two vote getters. They don't think that's going to change, but they're not positive. The governor's race seems to be Steve Hilton and Javier Becerra. More from
head of Democrats products.
Oh, okay. So the Karen Bass currently holds the top spot with reality star Spencer Pratt in second place. And you have everybody weighing in to try to figure out how this thing is going to end come November. Former California Governor Gray Davis says he thinks that Javier Becerra is going to beat Steve Hilton comes November.
He's kind of tried and true experience, and I think he inherited not only most of, but almost all of Swallow's support.
He's talking about Eric Swalwell, who had to drop out because of numerous affairs.
Becerra benefited from the departure of Swalwell far more than the pundits predicted.
Yeah, I imagine Republicans will see this race a little bit differently. 524 over to Ohio, where a takedown of Medicaid, alleged Medicaid fraudsters, was announced yesterday by the Department of Justice, stealing, they say, millions upon millions of dollars from the American people. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche making the announcement in Columbus yesterday.
Today, we unsealed a 32-count indictment against 2 state employees and 2 other co-conspirators for allegedly billing $30 million to the government for therapeutic behavioral services that were never provided.
So apparently state employees are among more than a dozen defendants who are being indicted in what Blanche called some of the most significant fraud schemes in the nation.
We've also unsealed an indictment charging 4 defendants in a scheme to defraud a COVID program. Again, these programs, as we all know, were meant to benefit small businesses. In total, between our state and federal partners, today we're announcing charges that were either unsealed today or over the past week against 14 defendants allegedly involved in fraud schemes targeting over $50 million
this comes
here in Ohio.
This comes after the DOJ announced more than a dozen indictments in a fraud crackdown in Minnesota last month. President Trump says he's not done with his renovations to the Lincoln Memorial.
We haven't finished. The water is pouring in as we speak.
Yeah, so he indicated more work is being done to the memorial is coming. He says the front of the memorial faces east towards the Washington Monument, while the back faces west towards Arlington National Cemetery. And he says more being done on that in that reflecting pool.
We have 22 waterfalls. Most of them haven't worked for over 50 years. As of this morning, they all work beautifully, and they're clean. The graffiti's gone. The broken marble is fixed.
Yes, so he says more work to be done down there. 526, let's head down to Texas. We've been talking about this screw worm fly that they're worried about infecting cattle there. Well, it seems like it has arrived. Federal resources now flooding into parts of South Texas where a flesh-eating fly was discovered for the first time in decades. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says this could devastate livestock, so they've put the area around the town of La Pryor under quarantine right now. That's where they discovered this thing.
We've established a 20-kilometer control area, a zone around the detection.
The new world screwworm lays eggs in open wounds and left untreated in livestock can cause death within days.
Quarantines, movement controls, and surveillance in this area. We're increasing trapping and surveillance for New World screwworm flies along the border and just outside of the dispersed area.
And the state agriculture commissioner, Sid Miller, he says one key to stopping the spread is a drug called ivermectin. You might remember ivermectin from the COVID era.
A lot of people may have heard of that during COVID. Ivermectin is very effective in treating and preventing screwworm infestation.
Yeah, so earlier this year, the FDA issued what they called an emergency use authorization for ivermectin's use, calling it an important part of a comprehensive parasite management strategy among these cattle down in Texas.
You give it to the livestock, it will kill any parasites they have, including screwworms.
Yeah, so they're all over this, at least they say they are, and they had been worried and warning the authorities about this for a while, that this bug was coming through Texas, and sure enough, apparently they have their first case right now in southern Texas.
This is what number 1 sounds like. Excuse me?
That was a big deal.
There's nothing threatening about that, I don't think.
Providing 103 years of continuous service.
Amazing.
77 WABC. It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Friday, June 5th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sun and clouds today. It's going to be really warm. The high 90. Saturday, partly cloudy, warm again, high 92. And then Sunday, sunshine, high 86. If you are walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 61 clear in New Rochelle up in Westchester. It's 60 and clear in Dover over in New Jersey. And it's 62 and clear right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time 5:40. Tonight's game 2 of the NBA Finals. I can't wait. Having friends over. Pop open a couple beers before the game. Of course, it's all the talk in the city and politicians trying to see how they can attach themselves to this NBA team. Mayor Mamdani confirming yesterday he will attend Game 3 of the NBA Finals at the Garden, the same game that President Trump said he's going to be going to as well. Mamdani said he had already purchased his ticket to Monday night's Spurs-Knicks game. A spokesman for the mayor would not share how much the mayor actually paid for that ticket. Now, right now, tickets are going for the cheapest one. Now, doesn't mean someone's going to pay this, but the cheapest one right now, $7,000 just to get into the arena. So the mayor said he bought one of the cheap seats, but that doesn't seem like there really is a cheap seat for Game 3.
What an incredible game last night. I will be in a very different section of the stadium.
Yeah, he's talking about not being in the same place as the president, who's expected to sit in the owner's box on Monday night. And Mayor Mamdani, again, like so many other politicians, trying to cash in on their connection to the Knicks. And what he's now doing is starring in a 30-second television ad alongside 3 left-leaning progressive Democratic House candidates that he hopes will get across the finish line either in the primary or come the November election. The spot is filmed on a basketball court. And yeah, there's orange and blue colors behind them to evoke the colors of the New York Knicks. Here's what the ad sounds like.
I'm Maria Elisa Avila Chevalier, and I'll defend New York by abolishing ICE. I'm Claire Valdez, and I'll stand up against bad landlords.
This is the team. This is our year.
And they're all holding basketballs. President Trump says he's been invited to the game by MSG CEO James Dolan, who has been a donor to the Trump campaign.
I watched that end of the game, and they were dominant. Really amazing. I saw the beginning of the game, and it wasn't looking good. I missed the middle because I talked to generals all night long now.
Yeah, so he says he's been a long-time Knicks fan. He's talking about Game 1 there. And then just people like you and me who can't afford to get into this game tonight, just excited.
There's going to be gatherings. This is the NBA Finals. This is New York. We haven't been here since 1999 in the NBA Finals, and Knicks fans are excited. You know what I mean? It's really hard to contain the excitement if you really are a Knicks fan.
I kind of feel the same way.
We've waited so long. It's just our time is now, finally, you know?
It's a lot of heart. We're playing like bulldogs. We're playing like we won it all. We won it all, and we're here. It's been a while, and it's a rematch. Spurs and Knicks rematch. This time the cards are going to be different.
Let's hope so. Game time tonight is 8:30. Did you see all the chaotic scenes in Times Square last night? Madonna performed a pop-up concert last night in Times Square. This was kind of cool. She came out of a billboard. So all of a sudden there was this build-up in Times Square that something was happening, a countdown clock, and then all of a sudden this billboard opened up, and there she was in a pop-up stage that was way above the crowd in Times Square. The 15-minute concert coincided with the beginning of Pride Month and comes weeks before the release of the 67-year-old's pop icons album, which is called Confessions 2.
Caught me by surprise. I felt alive. I felt proud. But it was amazing. The energy was off the hook.
Yeah, Madonna, who showcased some of her classic hits in this 15 minutes concert, songs from her new album as well. She partnered with the dating hookup app Grindr. It's a gay hookup app, And so they were the ones who were part of this countdown for her surprise performance. So if you were somebody who was on the Grindr hookup yesterday, the app, then you knew about the show, that something was happening in Times Square. That's why there were so many people waiting for something. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen, but the pop-up show was like a prayer answered to her diehard fans.
It was electric. It was insane. Looking for any information, I couldn't find anything, and I was like, should I go, should I not go? And I was like so excited, and then finally I made it, and I had like the best spot.
Yeah, Madonna's 15th studio album scheduled to be released on July 3rd. She's going to be busy before that. She'll headline the first FIFA World Cup final halftime show. There's never been one. She'll do it with Shakira and BTS, the Korean band. That'll be July 19th at MetLife Stadium. In a moment, we'll tell you how another Gotti is in trouble. We'll give you the latest on that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Sports sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal under you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. 8:30 p.m. tonight. Knicks and Spurs, Game 2 of the NBA Finals out in San Antonio. Our Knicks, of course, up 1-0 They're 6.5-point road underdogs heading into Game 2. In the Bronx, Ryan McMahon had a go-ahead single in the 7th. Carlos Rodon combined with 3 relievers on a 2-hitter, and the Yankees beat the Guardians 2-1 to salvage the finale of a 3-game series that Aaron Judge missed once again. Judge missed the game due to that bruised rib on his right side that was causing shoulder pain, and then later yesterday, the Yankees said Judge will be sidelined indefinitely with a stress fracture of his ribs. The team said the 3-time AL MVP was diagnosed with the stress fracture of the first rib on his right side and will need to rest and have limited activity. He can't do anything for like a few months. He can't run.
That's not good.
Yeah, he can't lift. He can't hit. He can't throw. He literally cannot do anything.
Wait, so is he essentially out for the season, or?
They said yesterday he's going to return, quote, at some point this season. What does that mean? What does that mean?
That could mean like October.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, so this is not good. And, we were speculating all week. This is lingering. It's lingering. It's going to turn into something. They're not talking to us. And anytime that's the case, it's worse than we thought.
Do you think that was the reason for his most recent slump?
Maybe. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he hadn't been playing great baseball.
No, and knowing the kind of guy that he is, being the captain, and knowing how much he cares about staying on the field. A few days ago, that was the first game he missed all season. This first of 3 games that he's missed so far. And he takes a lot of pride in being out there. Yeah, I would imagine he tried to play through it for a few games and then went to the team doctor with some discomfort. Wow. It's a big problem.
That's not good for the Yankees, no.
No. And, try to find another reason to go out to Yankee Stadium. Oh, God. I mean, there's a lot of them, let's be honest. But,
Aaron still a decent team.
But Aaron Judge is the draw.
Yeah,
Come on,
100%.
Of course. Up next for the Yanks, the lefty Ryan Weathers will get the start in tonight's series opener of a 3-game series against the visiting Boston Red Sox. First pitch there, 7:05 p.m. from Yankee Stadium. Mets back at it tonight after an off day yesterday. They'll open up a weekend set in San Diego against the Padres at 9:40 tonight. Christian Scott will start there. And the Stanley Cup Final picked up last night with Game 2. Hurricanes beating the Golden Knights 4-3 in overtime down in Carolina, and not in that series at a game apiece. That is your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan at Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC news time 5:49. Less than 2 months after being sentenced to 15 months in federal prison for fraud, the grandson of former mob boss John Gotti has been arrested again, this time on allegations of attacking his girlfriend. 40-year-old Carmine Gotti Angelo facing multiple charges, including assault, following an incident on Tuesday at his East Norwich home. Police say Angelo began yelling at his girlfriend, accusing her of cheating. Investigators allege he then shoved, slapped, punched her in the face, pushed her to the ground. They say he then kicked the woman, placed his hands around her neck, obstructing her breathing. Angelo is also accused of smashing her phone, damaging it beyond repair. The arrest comes as the grandson of John Gotti is expected to surrender federal authorities on July 20th. He had pled guilty to fraudulently obtaining $1.1 million in disaster relief funds from the Small Business Administration during the COVID pandemic. 5:50. 5:50, a Suffolk County jury did the right thing yesterday. They found 66-year-old Steve Schwalde guilty on all counts in a 2024 Deer Park car crash that killed 4, injured a dozen others. He was drunk behind the wheel. He has not been in court since suffering a heart attack last month, and his lawyer, Christopher Kazar, says
he had the heart attack because of the lies that he heard in that courtroom.
Now, the jury's heard from 44 witnesses, saw video of Schwalde buying alcohol just hours before plowing into the Hawaii nail spa at nearly 80 miles an hour. One of his victims killed was an off-duty NYPD cop. Prosecutors say Schwalde needs to be in court for his sentencing in August to hear what the families have to say, because they do those victim impact statements. PBA official Patrick Hendry reflects on the off-duty officer who was killed on that day.
My husband Carl, who lost his best friend.
Yeah, and you see this video of him buying the bottle of alcohol. He does not even look good in that moment before he apparently started drinking and driving.
We want him here for sentence. He needs to be here for sentence. He needs to hear what these families have to say.
100%. Up to the Hudson Valley, where a Pine Bush High School social worker is accused of kissing a 14-year-old student assigned to her caseload and then giving him marijuana over the course of several months. 39-year-old Gina Modafferi arrested this week, charged with endangering the welfare of a child. According to police, the alleged conduct took place between December of last year and March of this year, and they allege she provided the student with vape pens, marijuana, even smoked marijuana with him approximately 10 to 20 different times. Now, parents, grandparents with kids at the school surprised to hear about this.
I'm horrified, actually. Well, I feel very upset because Pine Bush has always been a very safe place.
Yeah, but allegations involve kissing, text messages, home visits. They say the matter came to light after it was discovered by the child's family. Apparently, the school took immediate action after learning of the allegations. Now, I should point out, Modafferi says the allegations against her are not true. 5:52, let's go from the Hudson Valley down to Brooklyn, where a 36-year-old's recovering today after being stabbed in the face yesterday in Williamsburg. This happened on South 2nd and Hopper Streets. Man suffered a stab wound to his chin, was taken to Woodhill Hospital. He is expected to recover, but as of this morning, there's a lot of questions that police just don't have the answer to. Did he know his attacker? Why was he attacked? Neighbors want to know those answers as well.
Don't concern me because, I walk out here, I have kids, and, people have kids out here. That's a big concern to be out here and somebody getting stabbed up.
Yeah, as of late last night, police had no description of the person that they were looking for. Of course, no arrests either. 5:53, the World Cup just a week away, and New York City officials say they are prepared for the crowds and visitors, but warn of increased traffic. Mayor Mamdani urging folks to avoid driving in Midtown on these 8 different match days that'll happen over the next month.
New Yorkers should plan for increased congestion and traffic delays, especially in Manhattan, where there will be some altered street and bus routes in Midtown specifically.
And if you're going down below, which is always a better way to go, much faster, the MTA says it's preparing for a surge in subway riders on match days, and they say they will increase the number of trains into Penn Station and into Queens for those fan festivals that are taking place. Officials estimate about 100,000 people will use trains and buses for World Cup events because you can't drive to MetLife Stadium in the Meadowlands. Just security's way too intense. Here's Governor Kathy Hochul.
We can handle this. We've got this. This is what we do best. And for those who are saying, stay home from work, and no, come to the city, celebrate. Otherwise, you're missing the excitement and the energy.
Yeah, but the big deal is they say don't drive. Here's the DOT Commissioner, Mike Flynn.
The World Cup will be an extraordinary moment for the city, but it will also have major impacts on traffic. Whether you're going to a match, heading to work, or just going about your day, please walk, bike, or take transit.
Yeah, think gridlock alert days like the ones we get around Christmas time. They say it's going to be like that. Criminals in New Jersey were caught on camera. This is happening awfully often. They were caught on camera making off with tens of thousands of dollars worth of Pokemon cards. Who would have guessed that Pokemon cards would be worth anything someday? But they're worth a lot of money. They're like gold. So there was a smash and grab robbery in Rochelle Park. On Thursday, the store owner said he watched his life's work vanish in the blink of an eye. It took burglars just about 1 minute and 13 seconds to smash through the big glass cases of what's a store called Big Pack Hobby Shop, and they scooped up his most desirable Pokemon cards, which are worth thousands of dollars.
The alarm was ringing. We got an alert. I drove here. I was here within like 2 minutes, and they were already gone by then. 3 men in hats, masks, fully covered up, used the tool to break the glass. They filled the garbage bag with the proceeds, and we're in and out with under 2 minutes, and we're in their car, and they headed towards westbound towards the parkway.
Yeah, and these guys apparently knew exactly what they were looking for. They robbed Pablo Rancier, he's the guy who owns this hobby shop, of what he had accumulated. These were his own Pokemon cards through a lifelong passion of Pokemon.
This was like a dream of mine, opening a Pokemon card store. We just celebrated our 3-year anniversary yesterday, actually. But I mean, this is like a passion of mine. As much as like it sucks and like it could happen again, I mean, I'm just going to keep going because, this is what I love. So 2 of the graded cards that we had were between like $3,000 and $4,000. And that's just 2 of the cards. They stole an entire display full. We have to still account for everything. But yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, so they were, they look like guys who were going for jewelry. I mean, they're all covered up in black masks. You can't see who they are. Police are hoping that license plate readers that dot the roadways heading to the parkway, that's the stores near the parkway, will give them more information about the getaway car. But so far, they don't have a whole lot. And Rancier just seems like a nice guy, small business owner. And he says, all right, they got my most valuable cards, but I'm not going to close down my shop.
Got to stay positive. I mean, I could sit here and mope and be angry, but I mean, I have tons of messages, being tons of support. So it felt really good. We're going to try to restock. We're going to clean everything up. We're going to get new displays, and we're going to be back to serving everybody that wants to come in.
Yeah, good luck to him. Apparently, the Pokemon card community is very close. Again, another thing I never would have guessed.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?